Hello and welcome to Brandon Smith, the rugby, and it is time for round 5 of the Six Nations. First up, we have Scotland, who host the Italians at Murrayfield on Saturday afternoon. Here is my preview of the game. If you're new here, do hit that subscribe button. It's free to do as we push towards 1,500 subscribers. So your subscription means the world and helps us reach that goal. As always, get involved in the comments with your thoughts on what I say, on the team selection and your predictions. And of course, we will be doing a watch along for this game live on the channel, going live at about 2 o'clock with kickoff at 2:15. Anyway, let's get straight into the preview. So before we look forward to this match, let's have a look at the history between the two sides in this fixture. Italy probably have had the most success against Scotland out of all the other nations in the Six Nations. Having a look at the past 5 fixtures then, Scotland won the last one, Autumn Nations Cup, back in November, as they won out in Florence, 28 points to 17. The year before that, February 2020, in the last year's Six Nations, Scotland won once again 17 points to 0 out in the Stadio Olimpico. They were home in 2019 as they beat the Italians there, 33 points to 20. And back in 2018 and in row, Scotland won a very nervy close game, 29 points to 7. In fact, Italy haven't beaten Scotland for quite a while, not since 2015. That was the last time they won in the Six Nations, as they won that one 22 points to 19 at Murrayfield. Let's have a chat about Scotland. Scotland coming into this game on a very mixed, you'd have to say, Six Nations. Of course, they kicked off the Six Nations with a fantastic win down at Twickenham as they beat England 11 points to 6. They then hosted Wales at Murrayfield and lost that one 24 points to 25. A red card, of course, changed the game. Louis Rees-Zammit was incredible. Then in round 3, the game, of course, was postponed between them and France due to the COVID outbreak within the French squad. And in round 4, they lost narrowly against Ireland, 27 points to 24. If we have a look at Italy in this year's Six Nations, well, it's a very different story. It's been a very tough Six Nations for them. First game up, they lost against France, 50 points to 10, and that was a very poor performance from the Italians. They then headed to Twickenham, put in a little bit of a better performance, losing this one, 18 points to 41. They then headed over to Dublin to face the Irish, and they lost that one 10 points to 48. In round 4, I think this is probably more of the more concerning result, was when they lost against Wales. They lost against Wales 7 points to 48, with down 27-0 at half-time. And the performance was really concerning if you're an Italian fan. So both teams come into this game looking for different things. Italy will be looking for improvement, while Scotland were looking to experiment a little bit and maybe even potentially push for a title. It's still a possibility, but they need a lot to go their way. Let's have a look at the Scotland team. That team has been announced, and it's a very interesting side, isn't it? So let's have a look at it now. It'll be up on your screen for your viewing pleasure. Going from the fullback, then Sean Maitland starts at fullback. Interesting choice. Darcy Graham and Duhan van der Merwe are on the wings with Sam Johnson, and Hugh Jones comes in at centre. Hugh Jones, of course, came on for Scotland against Ireland last week and got a try. Stuart Hogg starts at 10. I assume that's because Finn Russell is still out injured. Scott Steele comes in at 9 as Ali Price drops to the bench. The front row looks like this, and Rory Sutherland and David Cherry and Xander Ferguson. So David Cherry comes in for this one. Sam Skinner and Grant Gilchrist are the locks, with the more experienced and maybe more familiar Jamie Ritchie, Hamish Watson and Matt Ferguson at 6, 7 and 8 respectively. So it's a very interesting choice from Gregor Townsend to go with those changes. It'll be interesting to see what Hogg can do from 10. I do think that he is a little bit under pressure, and this Italian team will know that. Now, how will Scotland approach this game? You'd expect them to continue with their style of play, throwing the ball about. It's going to be interesting to see, as I said, how Hogg will do at 10, to see what impact he can have from there, whether he'll look to run the ball a little bit more than Russell does, maybe to keep the ball a little bit more in hand. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to do there. Let's have a look at the Italian squad that's been picked for this game to take on the Scottish side. This is who Franco Smith has picked. Let's go from the fullback. So Edoardo Padovani is at fullback with Matteo Bellini and Montana Ione. Well, I'll chat about Ione in just a second. Ignacio Brexton and Federico Mori are in the centres, with the halfback pairing that seems to be the halfback pairing to go forward for Italy over the next few years, Paolo Garbisi and Stephen Varney. Looking then at the front row for Italy, Danilo Fischetti, Luca Bigi and Marco Riccioni playing the front row, and Nicolo Canone continuing at lock alongside Federico Ruzza. The back row then is Sebastian Negri, Johan Meyer, and Michele Lamaro. So that's the Italy team. Let's have a chat about them. Italy, obviously a very poor Six Nations, but there have been a few shining lights along the way. Stephen Varney, the scrum half. Let's have a chat about him first of all. He looks like a very exciting young player, currently playing for Gloucester, born in Pembrokeshire, but qualifies for Wales through his grandmother. He has shown a lot of ambition to go forward with ball in hand. He's shown that he's comfortable to really snipe around the breakdown and really just run with ball and play heads at rugby, which is always what you want to see. Monty Ione is the big player for Italy, though his stats will be on the screen from a couple of games from this season. And he's really impressed me. His awareness of where he is on the pitch, his awareness and knowledge of when to run with ball, when to kick. We saw that with his try against Wales. Just the confidence to kick, the understanding that the space was in behind, that he could target that area was really impressive to me. So what are going to be the key battles in this match? Well, I think it's going to be, as I said, very interesting to see how Hogg gets on at 10. Hogg against Garbisi is going to be a very, very fascinating battle. Garbisi, of course, had a very poor game against Wales last week. Didn't start off the best ways considering he kicked off and kicked it straight dead, which wasn't the best start. Hogg at 15 probably didn't have as much impact as he'd wanted. And at 10, he's going to be more involved in the game, in the flow of game. He's going to have more of a say on what happens in the match itself. I do think the battle of the back row is going to be very, very fascinating. Hamish Watson against Johan Meyer. That battle is going to be fascinating to see. And Hamish Watson is incredible around the park. He really is. Jamie Ritchie over the ball. It's going to be a great battle, in my opinion. But how do I see this one going? I think there can only be one winner. I think Scotland are going to win this one with a bonus point. I'm sorry, Italy fans. I cannot see you getting a win here. I've not been impressed at all by Italy's defence. I was very concerned with their performance last week. I thought they gave up, if I'm being totally honest. A lot of the mistakes that they made were very, very basic, were ones that should never be made at international level. Although they went down to 14 men, there was no excuse for some of their plays. For Scotland, it's an opportunity to rotate, although you'd still expect them to get the job done. It'd be a good opportunity for Grace Townsend, 2 years away from the World Cup, 2.5 years away from the World Cup, to be able to experiment and see who works where, etc., etc. It's going to be fascinating to see who comes off the bench if he tries to throw things about. But there we go. That is my preview. Don't forget, I'll be doing a watch along for this game. So as always, do subscribe. We're pushing towards 1,500 subscribers. We're getting pretty close now. So do hit that subscribe button as we push towards that. And as always, let me know in the comments down below your predictions for this match. I read every comment and I reply to every single comment. So I'll be very fascinated to hear what you got to say. Anyway, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Make sure to join me for Super Saturday here on the channel. We're going to do a watch along for every single game. I'll see you then. Peace.